Forget Paul Whittaker and his four stooges, Credle and Bolt, Jones and Murray. Forget it. Stop listening to them. They're not going to give you the whole truth. Because that's why they call it the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because what you're getting is partial truth. And as I said, they give you false hope. Stop it. Do your research. Trust yourself.
I'd argue listen to them anyway, because even if they were the most fervent enemies, I still say listen to them, because you need to know how to combat attacks, whether it's your enemy or whether it's controlled opposition.
I understand.
You know what I mean? But being
sure.
informed, but don't be under any illusion. You're saying don't treat them as if they're telling you the whole truth.
Personally, I just stopped watching them.
Yeah, because
it's like fighting on a hill down here, and I'm up this hill up here.
Yeah.
Strategic maneuver. Let them fight over the old hill.
Yeah,
move fast, move hard, hit them hard, move on.
That's it.
That's what we have to do, because if we move at their pace, we allow them to set the agenda, we allow them to control the narrative. We're fighting over whether COVID was created in the wet market or whether it was created in a lab.
Yeah.
Irrelevant, folks.
Yeah.
The economy is broken. Your rights have been stripped from you, and we're arguing about that. What lockdown was there in Wuhan, just by the way, over New Year's Eve? Anyone know? None. Did they have empty streets? No. The streets were full of revelers.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. The centre of all of this, no lockdown, celebrating New Year's. Yeah. Brilliant. And what were we doing? I don't know if you saw the videos, and people actually put these online.
I saw the photos.
There was a video.
Yeah. I'll display the photo. I've got it.
Okay. There are two separate instances, so we know it wasn't fake. There's a person watching the celebrations in Seattle with the Space Needle, which is one of their major towers there, and it has a light show and fireworks, and it's brilliant. And with the camera still rolling on the phone, this individual walks out to their veranda and takes a live shot of the Space Needle. Nothing. You're being shown a movie. Second example, Golden Gate Bridge, same thing. Light show, fireworks, brilliant.
Yeah.
And without pausing the filming, walks outside, Golden Gate Bridge, darkness. You are being fed lies by Paul Whittaker and his four stooges and every free-to-air channel that we have in this country, as well as the cable ones. It's a movie. They want you to believe the movie.
Yeah.
Folks, you are going to be incandescent with rage.
Yeah.
But you can't say you weren't warned.
That's right.
So you only got yourselves to blame. I'm really sorry, but...
We're trying hard. There's not much we can do. Or just, not much more we can do. We're doing a lot.
Now, I understand the difficulty in believing this. I get it. Because we've built in our minds, and we do this as we grow as children, we get a model of the world sufficient to understand how it works so we can operate successfully. But as you know, as we grow older, and it's almost like just when you get a handle on how life works, another element of complexity is added to the formula.
Yeah.
And so you have to adapt slightly more and then slightly more. And with every life experience, you get married, and all of a sudden life isn't what you thought it was, and there are different rules, and all of a sudden you have children, and once again. And then, so I understand it. The human mind requires stasis for comfort. It needs certainty. It needs predictability. It needs stillness, no change. And yet life is a series of changes. So I understand why this is hard for you to believe. There's a physiological process at work. That's why the change management industry is so successful.
Yeah.
Because people and organizations have difficulty getting from where they are to where they need to be. Now, if you want to find how to get through this process for yourself, your husband or wife, and more importantly for your kids, Google the hero's journey. Google the hero's journey. It is the basis for every movie you've ever watched. And it is the basis for how you get from where you are to where you need to be after a shock. Now, depending on how clever you are, you can shorten that distance and make the depth shallower. That's what change management is about. Bear with me. I know this sounds terribly boring, but just listen carefully. You're bubbling along, and a change event occurs. Whatever it is, death in the family, new job, promotion, baby birth, doesn't matter, but a change event, and the old world is about to change. Star Wars did this brilliantly. This was the basis of the Star Wars franchise. Then you refuse to accept the truth, and you start degrading in performance because you don't want to accept the new reality, and you cling with white-knuckle grip to the past, but the past is now gone. And then you realize the truth is there, and you let go, and you're in free fall, and you drop, and you're very low, and you don't want to be where you are. Comfort, you want to go back. You want to take the blue pill and go back and eat the steak that you know is not really a steak from the Matrix movie. But you can't go back. And so what you do is you sort of accept it, and depending on you and your support systems and how you understand life, you start to try stuff, and you'll have an insight and be enthused and say, yes, I can make it, but that fails. And then you'll try another insight, and then that fails, and then another insight, and that fails, and another insight, and that fails. And what you're doing is you're constantly facing these challenges to understand your new world. And until you understand it, you'll keep bouncing up and down. But eventually, through a series of trials and errors and experiences and advice from good friends and colleagues, you'll get an insight that has real chance. You start working towards it. And then you get to a point where you realize, you know what, I can really do this. And then you fly. And you find yourself up here. Now, hopefully, up here is higher than where you were previously.
Yeah.
But this journey is every change you've ever had.
Yeah. Google
the hero's journey. Watch Star Wars again. Watch all those movies, and you'll realize the hero leaves the village, refuses to meet the challenges, faces a series of challenges, and eventually gets back up there. Now, the best summary of this, the best movie you can watch, and I discovered it by accident, and this is the best piece of advice I'll give you today. It's a movie called Arthur, Legend of the Sword, with Charlie Hunnam.
It's classic.
Now, one of the greatest films ever made. Unfortunately, it didn't do well because I think people were sorted out by Game of Thrones, which I didn't watch, so I watched this Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Watch the story, it's a brilliant story. And it's made by Guy Ritchie, who's an outstanding storyteller. Background, my guess, Guy Ritchie wrote this for his son to understand his upbringing from his prostitute mother, Madonna. So it's a love letter from a father to a son. That's just my take on it. Now, step back from that. Watch the movie once, because the movie is just breathtaking. The imagery and the allegory are brilliant. The character development, superb. But what you're watching in this whole film is normal life, change event occurs, wants to hang on, can't. Goes through a series of challenges, doesn't want to face the challenge. This is part of the hero's journey. I want to go back. I don't want to face it. I don't want the responsibility. But we have to. Every one of us, if you're a mum or a dad, you have no choice. And there's a great line. Everyone looks away, but that's the difference between a king and the others. A king cannot look away. A king has to face danger. That's what you have to do. So watch this movie, please. Best piece of advice you'll ever get on this show. Arthur, Legend of the Sword, Charlie Hunnam. Buy the DVD, watch it several times, because there is so much. It is so rich with meaning and lesson and allegory. It'll actually empower you in an hour and a half more than any change management seminar will. It'll help you become what you were created to be. Man or woman makes no difference. But as I said, the difference between a king and everybody else, the king doesn't look away. The king has to look at danger and move forward and take that responsibility, because if you don't, and there's a poignant moment in the film where he considers not taking up the challenge and what would happen if he doesn't. So I'll leave it there, but please watch it. Arthur, Legend of the Sword, Charlie Hunnam. Yeah. Produced, one of the producers was Steve Mnuchin, Secretary of the Treasury of the United States.
No, you're kidding.
No, absolutely.
Isn't that funny?
Extraordinary movie. Folks, watch it, get empowered, and get to work.
Yeah. Talking about doing noble acts, I ran into this Lockyer guy a few weeks ago. I was complaining the other day that there's no Stephen Crowder in Australia. There's no one really doing the on-the-ground, change my mind stuff, being really brave like in the stories of old. And then I come across this guy. He's doing change my mind, COVID is a scam at Bondi Beach, and he just sits with anyone and has a chat with his table, and he's great. He knows some phenomenal stuff.
10 out of 10. See, that's what we need more of. I mean, pass on my best to Lockie.
Yeah.
Mate, what a champion he is. That's brilliant.
Look, we'll definitely meet Lockie in the near future. So last weekend, he upset all of the latte sipping Bondi people over there, and he ended up bringing all these people, and look at this. This has got 45,000 views on Instagram, and he doesn't have a massive account, by the way, guys. Only 3,000 followers. So this is huge. It really struck a chord with people. And what he did was he was walking around Bondi Junction through the shopping centres, and and he was shouting out, "COVID's a scam." You know, Gladys, stick your mask mandate up your butt in a very in a great way. And he had his speaker and he had his little posse following him, and it was awesome. And I happened to drop in. I thought, you know, if I'm going to cover this event, because I know the media is going to do a terrible job, and this is pretty much what it looked like. And there's the police.
I'd rather be a human than a slave. Oh, I'd rather be a human